I'm Andrea Martins and I am an online entrepreneur. Some hits, some misses. It's all good fun. So I ran a website, expatwomen.com, for 8 years, which is a site that helped women living overseas. I sold that last year and I started Story Resumes, which is more of a boutique creative resume service, infographics, illustrations. Wasn't so scalable, so I tried a couple of other things. At the moment I'm on Green Socks, which is crowdsourced lawn mowing basically, so matching people who want their lawns mowed to people who want to mow lawns.
Cool, perfect. Awesome. How did you come up with this idea?
Well, we actually started down the handyman track because the home services as a whole, we wanted to do everything at once, but we got a lot of advice from different mentors. We sought as many mentors and investors out as possible to say, can you tell us what you think? And everyone said, choose one, choose one, choose one. So we started going down the handyman track because for me that was a problem, finding a good handyman. And then we realised it might be too hard to disrupt handyman because you really need a high quality handyman who knows everything that they're doing, whereas lawn mowing, as long as you can mow a lawn with, you've got the good equipment and you get good customer ratings, anybody can mow a lawn. So that was also a problem for me, like people that didn't show up on time to mow lawns or invoice me when they never even mowed the lawn, or over fertilised, or even killed my guinea pig with over fertilisation. So all the home services I need help with, so we're on lawn mowing. Yeah.
Wow, okay, cool. Getting a lot of like teenage entrepreneurs who are like, yeah, I can mow a lawn, I'll go out there.
If you're 18, please come, sign up. We put one post on a Facebook group this week, just one post. We're not really even ready to say open for the world yet. And we had, I think we're at nearly 4 dozen people that have signed up to mow lawns and 12 customer jobs just this week. So it's a little bit overwhelming because we haven't actually said we're open, we've just sort of opened. So yeah, it's still young, it's still a very young business.
Yeah, wow, that's so cool, that's so cool. What do you wish you'd known before starting out?
That I was definitely going to go down the lawn mowing track because there was many months going down the handyman track. But all of that knowledge is consolidated, so by the time we actually pivoted to lawn mowing, I don't think it was wasted time. We learned so much about home services, players, competitors, what everyone else is doing, that it was easy to pivot to lawn mowing. But I wish I'd known at the beginning we were going to do lawn mowing because I would have gone in that direction. But none of that time was wasted. It's just, if I had to wish anything, it was that I knew exactly what I was going to do at the beginning.
What's the highlight for you in having a business?
Just the thrill of being able to achieve something that you didn't think you could achieve. Just simple things like finding an insurance company that understands online platforms was quite tricky because people didn't understand, well, how do we insure something like this? And I went to different brokers and they started recommending all these things that didn't sound right. So I found the company that actually has offered this to a couple of other platforms in Australia, and just little things like that. It's like, oh yes, you know, that you could do that without someone saying this is your task for today as an employee, you have to achieve this. Just figuring out what do I need and how am I going to get this done, and just getting stuff done like that every day. So
what's the biggest challenge in having your own businesses?
Biggest challenge I think is just knowing which one's going to work and how much money to put in it before you decide to switch and change and do something else. So like even this week, like I mentioned to you, like I'm obviously confident in Green Socks, but you just never know until customers start signing up and paying, and until lawn mowing providers sign up. And I was talking to one of the judges for Startup Weekend last night, who's a friend, and he said to me, I can't believe you weren't confident, Andrea. That doesn't sound like you. And I said, well, you just don't know until somebody pays. And I suppose that's the challenge of the business, because with one of my other ideas, everybody loved it. Everyone said, I love it, I love it, I love it. But when it came time to paying for it, people weren't prepared to pay for it. So that's the thing, you know, you just don't know if they're going to pay. So it's really a bit of a thrill this week to just get these 12 jobs in when we weren't even expecting it, just that people actually want to pay. So,
what role does leadership play in business?
In business, you know, I never really feel like a leader in business, so I'm always just looking to other people that have done way better than what I've done. But I think everyone's in that cycle. You're always looking to someone else because there's so much you can learn. It's hard to ever feel like you're a leader, but I'm grateful to the leaders in business that are, you know, featured in the magazines and the startup journals that inspire me every day. So it's not probably the right answer for a corporate kind of leadership position, but to me it's just all the people that I read about is constantly inspiring. So it's their leadership, but it's not leadership in my exact company, because I feel like everything I'm running is always just running a race. I don't feel like you stop and do leadership. But
what does mentorship and coaching mean to you?
As somebody who gives it or receives, as somebody who gives mentor and coaching, to me it's about listening just to see where somebody's up to and checking that they've thought of some things that perhaps they haven't known just because they haven't tried it or read that. They may read that journal. So, for example, this weekend there's some ideas that I've come up with, and I'm thinking, I've read about that here, and rather than saying to someone, oh, that idea's been done, because that doesn't matter if it's been done, they could have thought of a better way to do it. Just sort of saying, oh, I read about some problems that this other company was having doing such and such. How can you solve problems like this? Because to me, I suppose everyone reads different things or learns different things. So if they don't know that, it's a matter of just suggesting like, oh, what about this problem? So you mightn't even mention that particular company. So to answer your question in a very long-winded way, is trying to help guide people just by bits and pieces I've picked up or learned, but without actually saying that's been done. Just sort of saying, hey, what if this problem came up? What would you do? Because maybe you're effectively guiding them to solve a problem that another company couldn't solve. So that's a long answer. You can cut that out. Seriously.
Why do you get involved in Startup Weekend?
Startup Weekend changed my life. And that's actually true. No one paid me to say that. So as I mentioned, have worked online businesses for many years, lived in different countries and done the same thing, but always felt quite isolated that who else can I talk to that's doing this? And lots of people and peers online I can network with, and I go to conferences and I do that. But just here on the Sunshine Coast, I didn't know many people that running online ventures. So when I came to Startup Weekend last year, I was shocked that people were doing it, and there were so many mentors, investors, advisors here, and just the intensity of working on Startup Weekend and the customer validation. I think it was worth doing Startup Weekend alone just to be forced to get out there and talk to customers, because doing green socks, the lawn mowing, and even when we're going down the handyman track, before we started spending any money, we just got on the phone to 3 dozen handyman and then 3 dozen lawnmower guys, say what are the issues for you, or do you have any issues, or how much commission could I take, what would you be happy with, and just so many questions that I never even thought I needed to ask at such an early stage for other businesses. And I was sitting in a room with people in my age group, which is young 40s, and last year, and all of us were like, oh my god, we would have saved thousands if we would have known this before we started our own businesses. Just simple logical stuff about ask customers, are they going to pay for it, and how much are they going to pay for it.
Hi, I'm Keith Grisman. I'm from Property Only, and I previously studied the EMBA here at Sunshine Coast University. I guess I'd describe myself as a property entrepreneur. Most of the businesses that I'm involved in have a property flavour for obvious reasons. My current project is something called the boarding office. So I've taken a large rundown warehouse style space, cut it into various rooms, and we're co-sharing the space, so leasing the offices individually. And I've indulged one of my passions, which is collecting vintage surfboards, and that's the decor within the space. So by night time, all of the offices can be closed, and we can become a surf museum. So the boarding office is office suites, surf museum, and we've got an espresso coffee bar to keep us awake.
How did you come up with this idea?
I guess hanging out at the uni, the last couple of years studying, spending some time here at the Startup Weekend last year, coaching like I'm doing this year. But also, I have a strong background in commercial sales and leasing. So lots of businesses want small space, can't necessarily afford the minimum office space, 50 to 100 square metres. Don't have the money for bond, find out it's electricity, it's internet, it's set up, it's all those things. So we are like a boarding house. The boarding office is designed that you can come and go really easily and really affordably. So really bringing the cost base down. The advantage of having 15 businesses together at once is you can hang out and do business in a soft networking manner rather than the formal, clunky kind of networking setups that happen.
What did you wish you'd known before starting out?
I think the asking for help. Even in the Startup Weekend context, I see lots of teams that need help but don't know that they need it and don't go and ask for it. So really being aware of if you're short on an area of expertise, go and hunt down someone who knows what they're talking about.
What's the highlight for you in having your own businesses?
I have to say freedom. The ability to check in and check out, control my own destiny, is, especially in a lifestyle environment like the Sunshine Coast, is irreplaceable.
What's the biggest challenge in having your own businesses?
Every day. We're a small business region, it's tough doing business here. Certainly managing staff, finding the right talent, they're principal concerns, I guess, for any small business in a regional area. Throw in the usual cash flow, capital requirements. You've got to wear all the hats.
What role does leadership play in your business?
Yeah, leadership is a huge issue. You need to be seen to be doing the right things. You also need to be walking the talk.
And what does mentoring and coaching mean to you?
I think the best mentoring and coaching is when they don't know that you're doing it with them. And that's really tricky because you have to get your rewards internally. You don't necessarily come and get hugged and thanked for helping someone through something. So, it has to be internal. You have to really enjoy doing it, and kind of get the joy from standing back and watching them evolve and grow and saying, yeah, I was part of that.
And why did you get involved in the startup weekends?
Probably the same reason as why mentoring, I think, works. Wanted to get in and help some people, and having had the benefit of being here last year and this year, I see some of the people that we coached last year, and some of them are here as coaches this year, and some of them are floating around and doing new ideas and new concepts, and it's kind of like watching your kids grow up. You see these dramatically different people. Wolf is a good example. He was this weirdy, nerdy little kid last year, and this year, he's running around ruling the roost here. So I got involved in Startup Weekend to give back, and as I said last year, I got a lot more out of it than probably I gave, and that's why I'm here again this year.
So my name's Yvette Adams, and I've started 6 businesses and sold 2, and currently I run 3.
Can you please give us a brief overview of your business venture?
So I have 3 business ventures, but I thought I'd talk about awardshub.com right now. So it's basically an online portal where businesses can search for business awards that they can enter, and we also provide a service where we enter them into the awards as well.
How'd you come up with this idea?
So I've had quite a lot of success entering and winning business awards myself, and people started approaching me for that service. My other company, the Creative Collective, does offer PR, marketing, communication type services, among other services, digital marketing and so on as well. So originally I offered that service through the Creative Collective, and I actually ended up thinking there's actually a whole nother business in this, and due to different restructures in my business, like I took on a business partner, there were certain aspects that I took out of the business before I did that deal. So I kept the training side, which was a training division, and all the award services as well, because I wanted to slim down their product range, so that suited me fine. Well, it's me as well, me. So with the Awards Hub, it's now any inquiry related to that comes to us, and we've been going since 2011. Started off on a Business Catalyst website, and I've done quite well considering I haven't really put much effort into it. It was really a passive kind of business where if leads came in, I'd deal with them, quote them, do the jobs, but I wasn't really proactively building the brand or seeking that business. But now that my creative collective's kind of more set up with a business partner and things, I've now got more time to spend on Awards Hub. So I've recently relaunched the website completely, built some more technology into it in terms of you used to be able to search, but it was a bit clunky, and now it's a pretty cool search, or I think it is. So you literally put your details in, and it gives you a PDF exactly of the awards. It queries a database. So if you said, I'm this old and I'm in this location and I'm in these industries, it'll pull up a list queried from the database of awards. So that's quite a helpful service because there's tons of awards to search for. And also, some people have amazing stories, but they don't have the time, or they just don't have the expertise to write them well. Yeah. I haven't even, there's so much more to it, I'm just blabbing on. They also, awards are great because they can help build your credibility and profile if that's what you're looking for. Depends on people's objectives. So some people we deal with want to build their individual profile, and that makes a lot of sense for, say, a mortgage broker or a personal trainer where they are the business. So therefore they need to position as the expert and, you know, awarded and credible and all the rest of it. For some businesses we work with, the objective is more about building their organisational profile and credibility, and for yet others it's a specific product. So maybe they've created a new product, or you know, an app or something like that, or they've done an amazing marketing campaign and they want to promote that aspect. And others just say all of those things, just promote us like crazy. And it's a really strong marketing strategy, because if they when they often get media coverage, or they can leverage that themselves, they can make some pretty amazing strategic partners in the room on the night, or through the judging process and networking that can come pre and post those awards. I know myself, I've been privy to a lot of great opportunities off the back of business awards, like going to Silicon Valley on a study tour, like going to an all expenses paid conference with Australia's top businesswomen in Byron Bay, all because I won a business award. So yeah, I'm a big fan of them.
What do you wish you had known before starting out?
Before starting out this business, I wish I'd known that, I should have known that it was going to go so mobile responsive, and I guess I wish I'd known what that would mean. So partly the reskin of the website and the relaunch, and the deadline was the Mobilegeddon that we've just had, where Google said if you don't do that, your rankings on Google will plummet. That was April 21, so it gave us a good deadline to hustle and make it happen. So yeah, I wish I'd known 3 years ago that that would happen, and had designed a website, because there was quite a lot to designing it and that whole database system. But you know what, it's the online world, and you've got to like sometimes invest to get efficiency. So that's what I've done now, but I wish I knew that.
And what's the highlight for you in having your own businesses?
Lifestyle, really. And I just say to people, I'm a hopeless employee. I just don't like being told what to do by other people. I mean, I don't mind, but if you don't agree with it and it doesn't make any sense. To give an example, right before I set up the Creative Collective, I was working for a company that had two bosses, and I found they were very opposite in their direction. So I'd start going in one direction due to the directions I'd been given from one boss, and then the other one would say, no, turn around and go the other way. So I felt like I wasn't really achieving anything, and that for me equals job satisfaction, actually having outcomes and producing work and feeling like you're contributing. So when I work for myself, obviously I make sure I have results and outcomes and things. So yeah, I also have two children though, so I love to have lifestyle balance around them and pick them up from school and take them to their sports. And I love that I can travel a lot with my work and meet interesting people, because I love to travel, so it gives me all that freedom to fit all that good stuff in.
And what's the biggest challenges in having your own business?
There are many. Every day you're faced with challenges, and you have to just work out ways around them or through them. Some come up unexpectedly, some are there and you're aware of them and you have to find ways to deal with them. Some are more urgent than others. What are the biggest challenges I'm facing right now? I've got to find time to focus on that business, because I'm only doing about a day a week on it at the moment. Middle East, there's a huge demand, and a challenge is working out the cultural way to attack that. So we've got some clients in Dubai, and I've just worked out that that's a good market for us. But in terms of how we market our service and translations, and that's a challenge working through that. So I'm probably going to have to talk to some Austrade or people with experience in that particular market, because although I'm really well travelled, I don't know the Middle East as a business trading place. So that's a challenge. I've got staff on that particular business now, and as soon as you've got that, you've got the vigour of having more outgoings, and often wages is your biggest expense, because it's not just the wage, it's the super, it's the work cover and so on. So yeah, just having that pressure to earn that money week in, week out. Because sometimes a thing I've noticed right through is you can win the work, do the work, bill the work, everybody's happy with the work, but they don't always pay for whatever reason. So if the money ain't in the bank, it's pretty hard to pay the wages. So that's always a challenge if they just haven't paid. Happens.
What role does leadership play in your business?
Well, if you're running the business, you've got to be the leader. I'm quite consultative in my approach, probably collaborative. There's a French way of management. I can't even pronounce it right, so I won't embarrass myself and say it, but it's that kind of style of management that I quite like. I've worked out a few formulas and I just stick with them in terms of management. So I have a weekly focus meeting with every single one of my businesses, and the idea of that is to go, what is happening right here, right now? What are you working on? So we look at what we call our WIP, or work in progress, and that's pretty much a Google spreadsheet. It's pretty simple, and there's prospects, and there's projects, and there's completed jobs, and then there's even strategic partners and big fish we're trying to hunt down. And I do that for all 3 businesses, and I sit there with the team and I go, tell me the headlines. I always say, don't even tell me the nitty gritty of every single job, but where's the issues, where's the successes, let's talk about it. And we use that as a way to try and kill the email. Use that meeting to ask me whatever you want, ask other people in the team, and then get on and do it for the week ahead. So that's a good one. We do monthly financial performance meetings where all the team are empowered to enter their figures. So everyone gets a segment, and so it's pretty transparent as well. They get to see exactly how the company's performing, like really financially well or not so well at the time. So not everybody does that, but that's the way I lead. And we also do quarterly strategic planning days as well, where it's like really big picture. And there's a big annual one too. So the annual one, we plan what are we going to do for the year, what are the targets, what are the strategies to achieve those targets. It's all documented, everyone contributes. And then quarterlies are checking in on how are we tracking against that, because that strategic stuff can get really hard to execute when you get bogged down with day-to-day operational fires to put out, whatever happens. So yeah, it's really good to check in quarterly and keep everybody accountable. And I'm also just a massive fan of online systems and procedures, because in that way it's pretty clear to me who's working and who's not, and who's efficient and who's not, and they all have to track their time. And we treat it like I guess law firms do, in terms of every minute being tracked and working out where there can be better efficiencies, because they're all service-based businesses, mine. Yeah, so that's how I lead.
What does mentoring and coaching mean to you?
What does mentoring and coaching mean to me? So I grew up as an elite athlete in water polo, and I always had coaches, and they were extremely influential on my life, because they taught me how to set goals and do hard work to achieve them, in terms of making teams or swimming personal bests or whatever it was. And I think those same things really apply to business, and I think that's given me great grounding. So I've always been open to mentors and coaches. To be perfectly honest, it took me a really long time on the Sunshine Coast to find ones that I felt was an equal exchange, because I'd find would end up me giving them a whole lot of advice about stuff. I think as well, mentors, your needs can change. So while someone might serve you really well for a period, it's okay if after a while you go, you know what, I need someone else at the moment, and it's not personal, it's just where you're at the time. So yeah, I've had a lot of different people over time. I did have a formal board of advisors off the back of an award I won. That was a great product as well. So Women in IT, Women in Technology Awards, I won an instant board of advisors. Peter Grant was on it. That's how I first met him and introduced him to a lot of these guys. A guy from Google, some really amazing, really experienced entrepreneurs. So I've had that set up before. I don't anymore, because I used to have to drive to Brisbane and it got quite crazy. Right now I have a mentor though, and she's female and she has her own family, and I really appreciate the fact that I think she gets the challenges of juggling family life with work, which I found some older gentlemen kind of mentors I couldn't relate to on that level. So, and she also understands the entrepreneurial brain very well, because a lot of mentors might have that business thing, but they, I don't know, approach business in, I'll call it old school ways, whereas I approach it in pretty entrepreneurial, pretty dynamic, pretty fast moving ways. So I need someone who understands that and isn't going to try and put me in a box, which some do. So that's, what I seek and how I approach mentors and coaches.
And why did you get involved in Startup Weekends?
So I first got involved in Startup Weekends in 2013 in July in Gold Coast with Aaron Birkby and Greg Burnett. Somehow they found me, heard of me, I don't know how, I can't remember. It might have been because I just got back from Silicon Valley, and they said your knowledge would be really great as a mentor coach, could you come down? And I said put me up in a hotel and I could bring the family and I'll give up my weekend for sure. So that's what I did, and it was fantastic. I loved it, and I came back to the coast and I said we have to do this. And I said, at that point, I was meeting quite a lot with Mark Pannenberg from the Innovation Centre, meeting with Michael Werrick from the Council, meeting with Russell Mason quite often. And they liked the idea, but they had a lot of other priorities and things as well. A few months down the track, Mark Pannenberg rang me. He said, "You'll be excited to know we're going to do something like the Startup Weekend because you've been, saying how awesome it is." And I said, "That's fantastic." He said, "At that point, we might do something a bit different though." And I said, "Don't change it. This is a winning team. You have to do the Startup Weekend one. It's a turnkey model. It's a global thing." I really emphasised the importance that they stick with the program. And thankfully they did. And I mean, look what happened last year. We had our first one here, huge success, 140 people, 17 teams, and look what the guys that won have gone on to do, which I think is awesome that they're still in business and here to help now. That's a really full circle, really. And I think that just shows how awesome Startup Weekend is. So look, I get lots of requests of people to help them out with business, have a coffee, talk synergy, and I would love to say yes to each and every one, but I just physically can't. So what I say to people now is, I go to Startup Weekends. Have you heard of it? Go to that event. You can talk to me as much as you like. And so yeah, I can't talk it late at night on Facebook because I've got 10 other people trying to talk to me around the world, and some of my team and some are live projects. So yeah, I'll always try and come and help out and support them where I can, because I think they serve a really, really important thing. And I think the best comment I heard from not just one but several people who came last year is, "That was such a good event. It changed my life." That's what people say. So that shows, I think, how just powerful it is as an event.
Okay, I'm Amanda Barreto Cavalcante. I'm a Brazilian PhD student. I'm studying interactive media, and I'm investigating dance video games and mental well-being.
Can you please give us a brief overview of your study and your research and your activities?
Yes, definitely. So I'm trying to study the commercially available dance games, and I'll try to see what is their effect on adolescent girls' mental well-being, and I'm trying to understand what it is about these games that make them flourish, make them feel better, so I can build my own later based on their best features.
And how did you come up with this idea to study?
I love dancing, and I'm really into tech, and there's not a lot done in that area, and it's just so good to make people feel better. So I just combine all of them, and I really like little girls. I want to work with them. They're amazing. They're cute. That's not creepy at all. Yes, you cut that out.
What do you wish you had known before you were starting?
From the beginning, I knew I had to focus a lot, and it's way more than I thought before. So you have to say no to a lot of distractions and really work on your own things. There will be a lot of interesting things that will draw your attention, and you want to help out people in their projects, but it's really important to remember that you're doing this for yourself, and if you don't do it, no one else will. So it's really nice to keep that in the back of your mind all times.
So what's the highlight of it for you?
Of what? Sorry?
What's the highlight of your research?
Of my research? Well, I haven't got there for now because I've only been reading and writing, and so I'm looking forward for next year where I'll actually get to have my hands dirty and build my own games and get in touch with the audience. Really, I want to know what they want. I want to know what could make them feel better, so I can build my game around their needs. Looking forward to that.
I'm going to throw one
Okay.
out of left side.
Okay.
There's a statistic that I think about only 15 or 20% of game developers are girls. Is that correct?
Something around there, yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit briefly about that?
So there's a lot involved in that. To start with, the development career, there are way more video games that are targeted to men, so they grow up with that, and there's a lot about representation as well. A lot of games have the main character as a male, so if a girl can see herself represented, why should she bother to try? And there are although there's only 20% of girl developers, right now the players are 50-50. So the problem really is we have to get more girls interested in making what they want and not just adjusting to what's available out there. So there's a huge market for girls aimed at girls. There's so many stories needed to be told. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity, but it's a really, really hard place to work with since you're surrounded by men that don't get your needs. So you go to a meeting room, they only have a male bathroom because they never had a girl before there, or they don't realize how difficult it is to cope with periods and those really girly things that they didn't think it was a problem before, or you get your heels stuck in, the small things that only girls get that they didn't think about it because they didn't have that problem before. So you need to make your workplace more diversity friendly so you can get richer ideas and you can develop more original things. Yeah.
And why do you get involved with Startup Weekend?
I was just new to the coast and I realized, I need to make friends, I need to make some good contacts, and it was amazing. I worked like crazy for 3 days. But I came out with so much more. I learned a lot about myself. I used to stall a lot to do things, so I would, let me just get this a little bit better. And they said, no, just do it. And that was great. And all the contacts, it's priceless. Just being part of this community is so refreshing. Every time I meet them, I just realize something, I just learned something. So it's really inspiring.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Done. Lovely.
Sorry for my little creepiness.
That was perfect.
It always
I loved
happens.
it.